Hey guys, this is us. Remember us? If you remember us, you really need to get a life because it's been a long time and we weren't really that big. You might remember us from the South Florida Motorsports Report, which from like, how long ago did we do that, Jeff?
I think we started South Florida Motorsports Report in 2002, so 22 years ago.
That, of course, is the melodious voice of Jeff Brown. If you saw us in the South Florida Motorsports Report, you never saw him because he was the guy behind the camera and doing all the editing and stuff like that. Then we had OversteerTV, which we were online before pretty much everybody else was. But
Yeah,
that's what
we
happens.
kind of missed it by being 20 years ahead.
Yeah, that's the whole
When
thing.
nobody was watching streaming on their phone. Well, we didn't have phones like these now.
Yeah, and this is like it's like with rock and roll. The first artists they were the groundbreakers, but no one remembers them. Everybody remembers Elvis and Buddy Holly, who came after.
Yeah.
So we are the, what do you say, the Ike Turner and the Ramones of the video.
Yeah.
On the online video award.
Or Bill Haley in the comments.
There you go. So we did that for a few years. Then we took a break. We started doing some other stuff. And so, hey, we're going to give it another chance now. We're going to do some stuff. We're just not going to we're not going to be news reporting. If you want the latest news, don't come to us. If you just want to hear some insight from two old farts who've been involved in racing since the 80s, maybe. It's been a while. We're old, as you can tell by the color of our hair. We've both worked in various parts of the industry. We've both been online, video. We even had a radio show for a while. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember we used to broadcast from the Hooters up in Fort Lauderdale, up in Broward.
Yeah, and then we were working at a studio in Coral Gables. Remember that one
Yeah, I remember that one
for a while.
That was good
time. I'm not a fan of radio. I'm too pretty for radio.
Yeah. Well, everybody tells me I have a face for radio.
That's true. So we're just going to have a little bit of fun. We're not making any money off of this, at least not yet. Hint, hint. Sponsors, come on. We're just talking
just like the old days. We didn't make any money back then. Or we'd still be doing it.
The curse of the groundbreakers. And so how we were one of the first time with a local racing TV show and online and everything. I figured best subject to start with is the state of racing TV right now, especially in the United States. We got the big three: NASCAR, IndyCar, and Formula One. Shockingly, the NHRA is really popular right now, and even though I don't follow it that much, I don't know if you follow it that much.
I don't.
You don't?
I really I like to turn when I'm driving.
Yeah, and it's really funny because I used to work at a drag strip, but
the old Moroso.
Yeah, long gone, all gone. But drag racing, I've watched it a couple of times. They do some really good production value. But let's stick with the big three for right now. NASCAR, you're more of a NASCAR fan than I am. You follow a lot more than I am. But whenever I watch NASCAR, the professionalism and the way they cover it is amazing. We've been there. We've been to the track. We've seen how they work. It's like an army, a well-oiled, well-precision tool. They know what they're doing.
Well, they've got it down to a science. And this year, Kevin Harvick retired from full-time driving, and he's moved into the booth. And for me, with the NASCAR broadcast, it's always been the commentators who they've gone through so many different commentators over the last few years. They had Jeff Gordon for a while, and he developed into a pretty good, I guess you call him play-by-play guy, or actually a color commentary.
Color commentary, right.
Well, but when he first started, he wasn't that good, but he developed into it. Now he's president of Hendricks Motorsports and quit broadcasting. So after that, they went through, I think Tony Stewart did a few races, and they just really couldn't find anybody that had the right chemistry that they needed. But now that Kevin Harvick has retired and he's moved up to the booth, I think we found the guy that is a natural.
Well,
he doesn't stumble over his words like I'm doing now.
and I am too. Well, to
So
me,
they found somebody I think that they can stick with, and of course they got Clint Boyer, who's always entertaining. But since Harvick got there, Clint Boyer has toned it down some, which I think is a good thing because he was just a little over the top,
Well, for me, the gold standard when it came to color commentating at NASCAR, it was Darrell Waltrip.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he can make the dullest race. At least he can crack some jokes and keep you interested. And
boogity,
yeah, the whole
boogity
thing.
Leave me loose wheel, and all those good ones.
But problem
for me, the all-time best was back to the '80s when ESPN first started. I remember when ESPN went to broadcast every race of the season. Before that, you only had select races you could watch on TV.
Right.
But ESPN went to, I would say, 88, 89. They went to broadcasting every race of the season. And they had Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, and what's his name? Bob. I'm drawing a blank.
Levy?
No. Bob. I think he recently passed. Jenkins. Bob Jenkins.
He was very good. Yes.
I think he recently passed away. I'm not sure. I mean, he's been very sick. But to me, the gold standard was Jenkins, Jarrett, and Benny Parsons. Now, Benny Parsons was the guy.
Yeah.
In my opinion, was if I had to pick my all-time favorite NASCAR commentator was Benny Parsons. And we met him a few times out at the Homestead track, and just a great guy,
Super nice guy. I mean, if you had any kind of problem, you had any question, he'd be the first one to answer it. He'd be right there for you. Great guy. Also, my favorite was Ken Squire back in the day. I remember back when it used to be on CBS, some of the NASCAR races and everything, and they'd have like David Hobbs with Ken Squire, and like, why do they have David Hobbs announcing?
He was a pit reporter. I remember David Hobbs.
Like a road racer, a British road racer. He's calling NASCAR. And a couple of times, I go, like, he doesn't know what he's doing out there. I remember when they had Jackie Stewart calling being on some of the Formula, the NASCAR races. I'm like, I love Jackie Stewart, but I mean, there had to have been somebody else.
Yeah, he's gotten into a little trouble recently. I guess
he always does. We live in a different world. I truly expect within 6 months we'll be canceled in one way or the other, because come on, we're two old guys. We're gonna say something that's gonna piss off somebody.
I try not to. I've got a lot of practice. I'm an Uber Lyft driver, so I have a lot of practice of trying to hold my tongue and not say things inappropriate.
Yeah. We're gonna have to do that. And if we get canceled, who cares? We'll live. We'll live.
Who's going to cancel us? I mean, Zoom going to cancel us?
Now, we're talking about NASCAR and the professionalism of the Army, the way they're able to call races. Then we go to IndyCar, and this is going to tick off some people, I'm sure. But I mean, I hate the IndyCar broadcast. There's some great racing out there, but the broadcast is just horrific. I mean, first off, Lee Diffie, Captain Hyperbole. I mean,
bring the action.
Everything's the biggest thing that ever happened to humanity. And then I've literally watched TV. I'm seeing something happening on the screen, somebody going off track, and he's still talking about something else.
Yeah.
And he's like totally oblivious to what's going on out there. Never liked the guy. Townsend Bell used to be, I used to like Townsend Bell, but then he's Mr. Cliche, going into the danger zone. Oh, he's Captain America. I mean, every cliche after another. James Hinchcliffe, though, thank God for him. It's the only reason to even listen to the IndyCar broadcast. He's doing really well. But now now the issue is with IndyCar, everybody's talking about that the TV contract's up and where they're going to go. And supposedly right now it's between sticking with NBC and having all the stuff on NBC and also on, sometimes they put the race on USA and sometimes they'll have it on Peacock, and they have all the practices of qualifying on Peacock, their streaming service. Which, do you have Peacock?
I do have Peacock. It's part of my cable package because for some reason, I still have cable TV.
Yeah,
way too much for it.
Yeah, I have it too, but that's only for the basic Peacock. If you want to watch all the IndyCar stuff, you got to pay for it. And I don't know anybody who pays for Peacock.
No.
And the other network they're talking about is Fox, which also does the NASCAR races. And some people are afraid that if IndyCar goes to Fox, it'll play second fiddle to NASCAR. I hate to break it to the IndyCar fans. IndyCar already does play second fiddle to NASCAR.
They're playing third fiddle. They're sitting down in the third chair playing fiddle.
Frankly, I would see what the professionals of the Fox does with NASCAR. I would like to see that move to IndyCar. It'd be interesting to see how they take that on. But the worry is that you won't be able to see all the practices, all the qualifying on Peacock. And I'm like, it'd be nice to have that, but then again, how many people are actually sitting down and watching IndyCar practice on Peacock?
Not me.
Yeah, a couple of thousand.
I've got the last race that they had was a non-points race or whatever. I still got on my DVR. I've watched like half of it, and I just haven't been able to get through the whole thing yet.
Yeah,
I was trying. I'm like, well, we're going to do this podcast here, so I need to finish this race up.
Yeah, that'd be a great subject for something in the future. That whole race there, whatever the name of that place was in Palm Springs. At least they were trying. I'll give them credit. They're trying to do something to stir things up. We could probably do months worth of shows just on IndyCar, their problems, and what they need to do. And all right, now the third series, Formula One. Relatively.
I think it's the top series.
Pardon me?
I think Formula One is the top series.
Right. Oh, yeah. Right. Worldwide, there's no doubt about it.
But I mean, also for broadcast.
Yeah. They do an incredible job. But that's an international broadcast team, and then the directors, the camera guys. Those guys travel all around the world. They have the same camera guys at all the races, and the camera action is amazing. The in-car audio is amazing. Wherever they get those radio calls to drivers and responses. It's amazing how fast they can get them. The in-car videos. I would love to know how much money they spend just broadcasting Formula One. Probably more than what the entire IndyCar team budget is for the entire series.
Probably. And then they have to travel worldwide to countries I'm sure it's not easy to get in and out of,
Yeah, well, now they're going to China. The next race is in China.
In Russia.
Well, no, they're not Russian. They're racing Russia anymore.
Yeah, they quit Russia because Russia's screwing up out there.
Yeah, so there's no more Russia anymore. I would love to see the guys who do Formula One do an IndyCar race once with that thing and see what IndyCar would look like with that crew.
Yeah. Well, they could bring them and let them do the Indy 500.
That would probably put those guys to sleep, but that's the one race I think NBC does well, though, is Indy 500, because they bring in other guys because it's their Super Bowl, so to speak, for IndyCar. And so you have guys like Mike Tirico and some of the NASCAR guys come over and do stuff. And,
Dale Earnhardt Jr. comes in.
Yeah, and
I don't know if that's good or bad, but they bring him in.
But yeah, I mean, that's the Indy 500. They do right, They still got Lee Diffie, but for some reason, I am of the firm belief that Lee Diffie has photos of somebody at NBC high up, maybe the entire board, incriminating photos that the people don't want the world to see. And that's the only reason why he keeps his job, because he's horrid. I'm sorry, I cannot stand the guy. Every time he opens his mouth, it's ridiculous.
Well, he used to do Formula One, the America Formula One, with your favorite guy David Hobbs.
Yeah,
and Steve Matchett. Now that's the guy I miss, Steve Matchett.
Steve Matchett was good. I enjoyed Steve Matchett. David Hobbs, I liked from the beginning, and I've met David Hobbs many times. Super nice guy, but he was getting a little too old, and he was missing a lot of stuff. And don't quote me on this, but a couple of times I was sure he was hitting the sauce during the race.
You referred to him as a drunk uncle.
Drunk uncle. Yeah. And
but Steve Matchett was the man. There's nobody loved Formula One racing and Ferrari more than Steve Matchett. Of course, he used to work for Ferrari.
He worked for Ferrari for a little bit, but he was mainly for Benetton, and they won championships when he worked for Benetton. But he was an actual mechanic. He knew what he was talking about because he was there. He was touching the machines. He was working on the machines. He knew better than anybody on the broadcast what was going on out there. So he's good. He's still around. I don't know what he's doing exactly right now. I know
It'd
he lives.
Nice if they could bring him into the Formula One team. You know, he would be an asset to them.
What is he doing? I know he still lives up in North Carolina, but I have no idea what he's doing. He's got to be doing something. I've read his books and everything. He's a super nice guy also. So I don't know. We got to do something about IndyCar. I say we go out and call up Roger Penske.
Okay.
I think I might have his
he
phone number.
I remember the last time we interviewed him, he called you by name, and you almost fell over. You're like, Roger Penske remembers my name.
Yeah, well, Roger Penske's the kind of guy where he has a couple of guys surrounding him, whispering him in his ear. That's so Roger Penske's not no dummy. He owns a series, he owns a track, he owns car dealerships, he owns trucking companies, he owns a lot. Well, he's in the Forbes 400.
And he looks great. So he's what, in his 90s now?
He's up there. I can look it up.
For a couple years, he hadn't looked so good, but I saw him on the last few telecasts, and he looks really good.
Yeah, he looks sharp. He's 87 actually. He's 87 actually. As I look over here, worth $4 billion. So he's no dummy, and I'm not going to question his actions.
$4 billion.
Yeah, unlike a lot of people on the internet who goes, "Oh, he's an idiot. He does nothing." He's got $4 billion. How much money do you have when it comes to business?
And I remember back in the day when IndyCar was still racing at Homestead, and the Penske hauler we would be there when the haulers would pull into the track to park, and the Penske hauler would pull in, and it was like chrome and did not have a speck of dirt on it. And the driver would park the thing and get out and start polishing. And I'm like, it looked like he parked outside the track and polished it before he drove in, you know, and everything Penske was always first rate. Yeah. You know, they didn't do anything half-assed. It was, and I'm sure they're still like that because it's Penske. But, you know, other teams, guys were riding, you know, dirty uniforms, things like that. Penske guys were freshly pressed right from the dry cleaner. You know, the lowest guy on the team looked like, you know, he had just stepped out of the shower in a freshly pressed driver suit.
And that is why they are, if you look at the record books, it's Penske, most wins, most Indy 500s, most IndyCar championships. It's Penske. Close second is Ganassi. They're the same way. You should watch Ganassi going, they're totally professional.
But utmost respect for Roger Penske and his team, his employees. They're all are top-notch, first-rate.
Mhm.
You can't get any better than Penske.
No, no. All right, guys. So that's our old farts opinion on TV. We got to do something with NHRA. That's something we're going to do in the future. In fact, we got some friends who work for the NHRA. Maybe we can get an interview with them and figure out how they do it.
Well, I wanted to ask you, we're talking about TV. I
Uh-huh.
wanted to ask you about the Formula E series. I've been watching the Formula E series, and it's very entertaining. Of course, I guess if you're there live, it sounds like a swarm of bees. But the races are very entertaining. I guess they have knockoff Formula One drivers that former Formula One drivers couldn't
Formula
make.
One drivers, sports car racing. It's basically the production company. Everything is basically the same guys who do Formula One. So the show is impeccable. A little different because it's a different series, of course. They're going for a different audience in a way, but yeah, it's been quite enjoyable. I've never been to one.
No.
They had one. We're both based in Miami, guys, and they had one Formula E race a few years ago here in Miami, but I was out of town, so I didn't go. So I couldn't go to that one. Never seen
I
them in
didn't even
person.
know what was going on.
Yeah,
it was like a secret. Formula E is like the best kept secret in racing, I think.
yeah. I watch them from time to time. It's hard to keep up with all the racing. If you try to, then I wouldn't be married. My wife would file for divorce. But you gotta. I watch some of them from time to time at night. I tape them and everything, and it's an interesting series. I can see it developing further and further. It's been around for about 10 years now, but they do a great job also.
Yeah, they have very young commentators. They're like the next wave of commentators that'll be coming up.
Well, that's
they're very good, very good.
Yeah.
I mean, their commentating is top notch. I gotta say.
Yeah, and it's they're going for a different demographic. They're going for more youth, more urban, of course, with because they race most of the time in city centers or close to city centers. So it's a different demographic they're going for definitely not the NASCAR demo. And
I'd like to get a Formula E race in Homestead. That would be nice. Get them out there on that road course. Let them race at night, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have solar panels. Maybe they run around there in solar power or something.
Yeah, that probably will never happen because that's the thing. Like I said, Formula E likes to race on street courses or near the city center. They want to be urban. They want people to take, because it's all about green and all this stuff. They want people to take a bus to the race, not to drive out in the middle of nowhere, where most racetracks are out far away from cities because of the noise. But then they want to be in downtown, where people can take the subway or the bus or whatever. They don't want people driving way out of town for that. But
I take my bicycle and my skateboard.
There you go. That'll be another thing we can talk about. Let me see who I can get somebody from Formula E we can interview with.
There you go.
All right.
I'm actually watching it right now. Got it on the television.
No, don't tell me what it is. I haven't seen the last race. All right. We're gonna wrap it up for this first episode.
Okay.
Short and sweet. We're running out of time here. Let us know. Send us some comments. I'll be putting it up in all the various places, audio for a podcast. I'm also going to throw it up on YouTube, so you'll be seeing it here. So if you think we're jerks, let us know. If you love us, let us know. If you want to have Jeff's love child, I'll forward you his email. All right.
We post it up on Facebook. Us old guys like Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook and Twitter and the TikTok, as they say. They have cats.
And next time I'll dress up a little more, put on some paint.
I've actually worn my fancy T-shirt. All right, guys. Thanks again. I hope you enjoy it. We'll be a little better next time. This is the first time. We just threw this up there to see what sticks. So we'll see you soon. We're going to call this, we don't even have a name. We're going to call OversteerTV the podcast. How does that sound?
That sounds good. I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. There you go.
Maybe we'll even have some production,
It's like an intro. You got to write us an
something
intro
like
song.
an intro and maybe some credits, things like that. Of course, the credits will be very short. Tony and Jeff.
Yep, there you go. All right, guys, we're running out of time. So thanks again. Say bye, Jeff.
Bye, Jeff.
Okay.
Still recording.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah, well, I can edit that out.
Okay.